From Arizona, Mr. Schweikert is recognized until 10 p.m. as the designee of the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem. We're going to do a couple things tonight, but first, just every once in a while we get behind these mics and you've got to get something sort of off your chest because it really annoys you. If I see one more headline from the scribes who are basically the Democrat propagandists, and I'm sorry to be that mean, I've tried to treat the press respectfully over these years, but, you know, the Republicans want to cut Social Security and Medicare. Okay, up until a few hours ago, I was the senior Republican over Social Security in Ways and Means Committee. No one's asked me. I talk about Social Security every single day when I'm here. I've never met a Republican member, ever, talk about cutting Social Security. So yesterday, I grabbed one of the reporters out here and who had it in their story but had no names, walked up, said, okay, tell me who this is because I really need to talk to them. I can't tell you. It's a reporter thing. I can't explain that to you. No, you need to tell me who's telling you to write stories that the Republicans intend to cut Social Security. I'm the ranking Republican, I was up until a few hours ago, over Social Security. I've spent the last year of my life working on it. No, I can't tell you who. If you're going to make crap up, stop doing it in a way that you hurt people. You know, for my Democrat colleagues, I know power. I know you desperately want to be back in charge. But the fact of the matter is the math is the math. You all saw the CBO numbers from a couple days ago. Social Security runs out of money in 10 years. Do you care? The fact that CBO is saying there's going to be a 23% cut in Social Security recipients' checks in 10 years. We will double senior poverty. Do you care? Or is the politics of weaponizing it more important than saving retirement security? This is perverse. And this is called reporting around here. If you want to weaponize something that doesn't crush people. I feel better getting that off my chest. All right. I want to do something I consider a bit amusing and maybe a little sadistic. A week ago or so when we were here, I did a presentation on the structural deficit, and I was trying to talk to the new members of Congress, my friend from Oklahoma, others. What's actually going on? Where does the debt come from? The fact that in 10 years from now, you have almost a $2 trillion structural deficit. And that $2 trillion is functioning interest, $1 trillion, and the growth in Medicare, and a little bit of Medicaid. And then I did something I almost never do. I actually read the comments. And look, I'm appreciative. Almost 600-some thousand people have watched the YouTube video. And you'd get these comments like, well, cut foreign aid, that will balance the budget. Just don't pay members of Congress and Senate, and that will balance the budget. So we had a conversation in our office. How do I explain the scale? Look, if you're not used to 12 zeros, or in this case, current deficit, 14 trillion, or if we're at 31 trillion, that's 14 zeros. If you're not comfortable with the math, maybe I can find an easy way to discuss this. And if this comes across a bit sarcastic, I mean it too. So we actually built a little calendar. And we thought this would be sort of fun because we have too many people out there. They hear the political class get behind the microphone and say, we have a spending problem. And then they come up with stupid ideas that really don't save us. So let's actually walk through these. Let's start with the one I consider most amusing. A number of the comments were, just don't pay members of Congress and the Senate. Okay, great. So this is a calendar of the year. 12 months, 365 days. If I said, this is just the borrowing, so this is a calendar, every day we borrow the equal amount, and we're going to base it on last year's borrowing, so it's a real number. If you didn't pay any member of Congress, maybe we shouldn't get paid for the quality of our work. I'm not going to argue about that. How much of the debt deficit would it take care of? Well, it turns out it's this little tiny sliver down here. We calculate it's about 28 minutes for an entire year. That's all you got. You got a whole 28 minutes. What would you like to do with the other 365 days, 364 days, 23 hours, or 23 and a half hours? You get the point. I know it may make you feel better. I lashed out. I was mad. But you have a country that structurally is going to be buried in a scale of debt where you're starting to flirt with a debt crisis and a failed bond auction in a decade or so. This is not a game. This level of debt takes down a republic. So let's do a couple of the others here just for the fun of it. I'll explain what these colors. So whatever color that is I guess that's like a turquoise. Foreign aid. Every dime of foreign aid. If you removed it, hey, functioning, you just got rid of maybe 17 days, and we threw everything into it. So you got rid of 17 days of borrowing. Okay, what would you like to do with the rest of the year? Well, if we got rid of the 2017 tax reform and played the fake scoring that every dime would come in and you didn't lose the growth effects that we got from the tax reform and all those other things, you basically get 2 weeks of borrowing. Okay, well, this obviously isn't working. So if we went to a marginal 50% tax rate, 50% tax rate, which some of the Democrats have actually proposed, you basically take care of 6 weeks of borrowing. Now, you slowed down the economy, but let's just pretend the money keeps coming in. You walk through, hey, how about a 35% marginal tax rate on corporations? Well, you got rid of, you maybe get another month and a half of borrowing, just borrowing coverage. And that's assuming that you get all the revenues in and you haven't slowed down the economy, slowed down GDP, which is pretend. Okay, let's do one of my others. You take out itemized deductions. Okay, you got rid of a week. To understand almost all the ideas that are out there, really, on the scale of it, if you threw them all in, you can't even get rid of half the year's borrowing. And that's for that last year. Understand, this year we're going to probably borrow a little less than $1 trillion. In 10 years, we've doubled it. And I beg of our brothers and sisters here, if the Democrats don't want to help, don't want to play, don't want to tell the truth about the math, and the math will always win, I beg my Republican brothers and sisters, let's be the truth tellers. And yes, there's waste and fraud as